the November 18th meeting of the Select Board in the town of St. Albans. We are here today to start with warrants. Stan, general fund warrants.
All right, we start with the warrants. The warrants dated 11/18 to 11/18. There was 90 invoices for a total of $91,461.21. The range was from $2.49 at Ace Hardware to $24,965. And I'll have a question on that one, Alan. I talked to Alan on it. That was for the trails. I saw a note too in your
Town forest trails?
town forest trails, yeah. I think that maybe Jessica, you can help me on that one. $24,965 we paid out.
Well, I think we had grant money for all of that,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's grant money coming back to reduce that.
Yeah, yeah, most
That's
of
what-
it.
And
Yep.
Alan was gonna
Yeah, there's
look
like
at that and tell me about
15,000.
it.
Yep.
But you covered for him, thank you.
Yeah, and they had to stop work because of the snow, but they'll be open. They're
Yeah.
gonna finish it up in the spring.
Okay, so then Amcare, our normal $12,070. You know, when Blue Cross Blue Shield, like we get that every month, $15,482 we pay out for our healthcare for the employees. Plus, we go up by 15% next year, this spring, January.
January, yes.
January 1st. So when you get old like me, you can get on Medicare and have it automatically deducted. So the next one was Anna had 10 tax overpayments, and that was for $5,058. That was 10 invoices. We had between Clarence Brown and S.B. Collins for gas and oil, $4,056, but that was 13 invoices, so a lot of the invoices, low amounts of money, but I do look at them all to try to see if I see anything anywhere that stands out. So I would make a motion to approve the general warrants in the amount of $91,461.21.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Perfect. So we're gonna move on to
Stan, go ahead.
payroll
Oh,
warrants
sure.
with Jessica.
Okay, so I have two payroll warrants. The first is November 8th, 2019 for $21,716.91. And the second is November 15th, 2019 for $89,696.08. So I'll make a motion to approve the payroll warrants.
Second.
Carrie?
Well, and do you want to know
Yeah,
why that one?
definitely. Yeah.
I would say,
I don't know
Jessica,
why.
that what money you just talked about, we could not hire one
Not even one.
permanent, full-time, regular firefighter that's certified in everything.
Yeah, we're paying the fire department stipends in
Yes.
this, their
Yeah.
annual stipend.
They deserve every penny they get.
Yes.
So
Thank
it
you,
sounds
guys.
artificially high, but it's a good deal.
Oh, definitely. Okay, any more comment? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect, thank you. Bruce?
I've got some warrants here. When I say infrastructure development account, that's for the new DPW building. Okay, so I have one for $16,454.14. And it consists of probably about 10 different payments, to our consultant, to Main Street Graphics, to Iric Excavating, landscaping, sand pits, Pike Industries, and so on and so forth. But it's for the whole 16,454.18 is for work that's being done at the new DPW site. Okay, that's the first one. The second one is a industrial park warrant for $901.58. And it's for the Green Mountain Power, for the sewage pump, the sign lights, and the road lights. And it's in total $901.58. The third warrant is for a DPW capital account for $5,000. And this one I kind of don't understand this, but it doesn't really explain what the $5,000 was for.
It's a grant that we got from NMC.
It was a grant that we got from
Rise.
Rise Vermont.
Yeah, right.
Sorry
We were,
about that.
yeah, we were the flow, they were the flow through. They were our fiscal agent so that we
So,
could get that.
thank you very much, Rise Vermont. So I make a motion that we approve these three warrants.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and we're on to minutes.
I move that we accept as printed the minutes of November 4th and of October 28th.
I'll second it.
Any comments, questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now moving on to public comment. Is anybody here for public comment? Okay, I'm gonna move on to agenda item number 6, which is interim bylaw public hearing. So, we need a motion to open this hearing, right? And it was in our packet. And does somebody have that available to them? Would they be willing to read it so that we can open the hearing?
I don't know.
The warning.
Well, you need to read
Do you
the
want me to read it?
Oh, I don't have.
notice is hereby.
That's-
Oh, here
You want
I
the
have
whole
it.
thing, both paragraphs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, notice is hereby given to the residents of the town of St. Albans, Vermont, that the select board will hold a public hearing on Monday, November 18th, 2019 at 6:30 PM at the St. Albans Bay Town Hall Meeting Room to consider for adoption the following proposed interim bylaw pursuant to Title 24 VSA Chapter 117. The interim bylaw affects those areas shown to be within the mixed residential commercial zoning district and the industrial zoning district within the 2019 St. Albans Town Unified Development Bylaws, as well as the official zoning map of the town of St. Albans. The purpose of this interim bylaw is to allow for daycare centers to be located within the above-named districts to help alleviate the extreme need for quality regulated daycare, and to further the goals of the 2018 St. Albans Town Plan, Section 9.2, until more permanent changes to the Unified Development Bylaws can be made. The interim bylaws are intended to apply to the mixed residential, commercial, and industrial districts only, and are term limited from date of adoption or amendment by the select board for a 2-year period or until amended. A full draft of the text is on file at the St. Albans Town Clerk's office, as well as on the town's website, www.stalbanstown.com.
So moved.
I got a quick question on it. So this means if we approve
Second it
this.
first.
Let's open
Pardon me?
it.
Second it
I'll
first.
second it.
Okay.
Okay, so to open the hearing, we have a motion on the table in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so
Thank you.
we're in our hearing. Bruce?
Okay, does this mean by approving this, that if a person wanted to open a childcare center in an industrial area, they do not have to apply for a conditional use
No,
permit?
we're adding them as conditional uses.
You're adding them?
Just as
okay.
conditional,
This is conditional,
they're
so
not permitted.
it's, right,
Requiring
Well,
a DRB
We
review.
might,
okay.
Becky's here to answer technical questions, actually,
Okay.
so could you come up here, Becky, so that when you respond, not if.
So
We
I
can
know-
hear ya.
I know in other towns, Becky, if you want to put a childcare center in, say, a light industrial area, then you have to go before planning and everybody to get a conditional use permit. So by doing this, that eliminates
No.
them having to come for a conditional use permit?
No, it does not. What it means is that the select board will be reviewing the conditional
Oh, okay.
use. I did put together an application for you following the statute that applicants will apply with. You will look at the conditional use review and decide whether it's appropriate in that area. The DRB will still do site plan approval for these daycare centers if you choose to allow the conditional use.
Great, Good, thank you.
And then once we have the full-blown UBD update done, it'll go straight to the planning commission as a conditional.
To the DRB.
DRB.
Sorry, DRB for the conditional use review.
Yes, this is a temporary measure. It only lasts for 2 years or until the bylaws are changed
Okay.
to include these. And you will have to review the conditional uses until then.
Sorry.
You finished?
Yes.
So, I have a question more, not to change the proposal as written, but I am concerned about, we only talk about daycare for children, and I think we should amend it to daycare for adults too, since that might be another need as we get a larger population of elderly.
Okay.
The second thing, from my own experience, is that the hours that you have for daycare, I think, are relatively limited, and when you get into 3 shifts, we might need a 24-hour daycare center.
I have to agree, but that's just a personal opinion. It'll be up to the planning commission to redo the definition, but Al, the definition of this daycare facility does include adults.
I didn't see that, does?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It's not
So it
just
can join
children.
into light commercial.
Into,
Yeah, there's a lot of those companies out there that run 2 and 3 shifts, so.
there
So
are.
could we ask the planning commission at least to consider making it on a 24-hour basis?
Sure.
Yeah, you
When
can do
when
When it
the
gets-
bylaws are redone, yes,
Yeah.
Okay, great.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll
Maybe
make
we
a
don't
note
end
of
up back in the same boat, and we need to open in 24 hours.
Oh, I don't know how I missed that. Right in
Okay.
the first page. Thank you.
Good deal.
So we have a motion written out to adopt the proposed interim bylaw, if someone would make it.
So
I'll make a
moved.
motion that we adopt the bylaws for childcare centers.
So there's a, here, I'll,
You can read the motion.
yeah. The motion I'm looking for is, and I'll quote it,
Go ahead.
I make the motion to adopt the proposed 2019 interim bylaw allowing for daycare facilities within the mixed residential, commercial, and industrial districts for a period of 2 years in the interest of protecting the public health, safety, and general welfare of one of our community's most vulnerable population.
S populations.
Populations.
Okay, so
Okay, what he said.
as corrected. Would anybody make that motion as corrected?
I will.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Hi,
Aye.
Okay, now we have to have a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have adopted that. Now Becky,
Yes,
an interim bylaw, is that subject to the same 60-day appeal period as
no,
an ordinance?
it's effective immediately.
Okay,
Oh, really?
so
So you-
anybody that sparked this can
Yes.
immediately.
You will be getting an application very soon,
Hey,
in the
that's
very
good.
near
But it was
future.
warned a number of days in advance, which gave the public an opportunity to comment or come in.
No, it's perfect. I mean, I'm glad we did everything we could.
Oh, the motion's on the second page.
Yeah, thank you.
Now I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to recess the select board meeting and open as the liquor control board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now the Liquor Control Board of the Town of St. Albans, and we have an application in front of us. And I have just one question about the application. On page 1, it says, please indicate name, and it says Linda's. Or that's on page 2. And then if you look at page 1, it says the hen house.
It's DBA.
Okay, so they've got both? Or-
It was Linda's, and it's doing business as the hen house. It's
So
right
is
up the road.
Linda's hen house?
Yeah.
Yes,
It's just a hen house? Okay.
School.
Alright, so this is just a first-class license for Linda's. Any problems?
No.
it's a new license.
Yeah, it's a brand new license.
For breakfast?
They'll be investigated.
They're doing
by,
dinner.
DLC,
I'm thinking about
yeah. And then DLC will issue a license.
What class is that?
First. Yes, first. Anybody have any questions? Any comments? Anybody wanna make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the
Make a
request.
motion to approve the hen house for a first class license with the date provided in the paperwork.
I'll second it.
We're trying to hurry because of the rainstorm.
I know, I get it, I get it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, and a motion to close, as a liquor control board and reconvene as a select board.
So moved.
Second.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're back as a select board and we all have to sign this before we leave. And we're on to agenda item number 8, sorry, the town manager's report.
Right, so the first item on there is the request for a water allocation from Julian and Nunez. See the letter and the request, pretty straightforward.
Yep.
They answered all the forms as we asked, so I'm asking that you consider approving it.
Anybody have any questions? Any comments? Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the allocation?
So moved.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Perfect. Oh, that's crazy. Second item, village designation. We had a couple questions at the last, no, we talked about it, but we never actually brought everyone together to really have a consensus talk about it. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Just wondering if you want us, the staff, to start proceeding with that, or if you have any questions you want us to look into.
Can we meet on this a little bit more expansively? We have something on our short list to do for the town manager. I'm wondering if it might not be a good idea to have a 2-part work session and talk about a village center designation and then move on to talk about that item we discussed in executive session that we need to do as a group. I'm wondering if that might be worth doing in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
That's fine, but could we, in terms of the village designation, it seems to me there's still information maybe that I need, nobody else does. But for the village designation, to me, that whether or not we take over that road is part of that decision.
No, that's not part of it.
No.
No, it may not be part of it, but it may be part of a strategic plan to upgrade
Right.
this thing we want to call a village.
Exactly, yes.
So to me, it is part of our general
We should talk about
concept.
that
It
too.
could be.
We
Yeah.
should sit down and talk about that too and make our wish list for V-Trans.
But, you know, it's a very important decision. So I
Yes.
think we should really take the time to think this one out. And, you know,
And there are a whole bunch of questions in the application that we could think about for our discussion purposes.
there are,
Do we have a sample application?
Yes, it's in,
Yes.
Right, it's in,
it was in
we
here.
have this, don't we?
yes.
Right,
If you don't, I'll get you one.
yeah, we'll read that and why don't we, Jen, can we try to get a meeting on the wall in the next 2 to 3 weeks that works for everybody to go over? We need an executive session from probably about an hour and then
So,
maybe a
The only
half hour
question
to
I
talk
got,
about
is
this.
why would we have to talk about that in executive session?
We're not, I'm trying to lump this discussion into the thing we talked about in executive session we need to do as a group.
So it's gonna be challenging with holidays,
Yeah,
budget meetings, and the vacation I just told you about. But we can work around those things. It might have to be early January,
is
that's
there
all.
any reason why we just couldn't let the,
Staff,
pardon me?
staff?
Let the, I'm trying to think of the board,
Planning
The
commission.
planning board?
planning board, that let them pursue it?
Well,
Why
They-
can't we just approve letting the planning board go ahead to, check it out?
They might have just as much on their plate. I like that idea. I'm just wondering if they have as much on their plates as we do.
Well, we can ask, if not, we schedule a meeting for it.
Yeah, we can do that.
I mean, it's gonna be, it's their,
Alright, we got
Well,
Ned
Ned-
here and he's saying that they could handle it, so.
Well,
We
he's
can-
saying they'll bring it up.
We were assuming we were gonna get it anyway,
good,
and we had added it into
Good.
January and February time period.
Good.
Okay,
Yeah, I would think between you and the planning board, you could have a list of pros and cons and
Yeah.
why.
yeah.
We've already sort of kicked it around a little bit.
we wanna do a thorough job of it, but we
Yeah.
also, I'd like to see, if we're gonna do it, I'd like to see us get the wheels in motion, because it's beneficial
Yeah.
to this town and the people in this town.
Could we also talk about doing like more than one?
Yeah,
Can we
Can.
talk about looking at exit 19 and 20?
absolutely.
I don't
Maybe we
think
should turn
they,
it into a
At the
think they have what you
meeting we
need.
But
had,
let's get the first one going first, because the second one would be a
Well,
lot easier.
that's what I'm saying, like, is this is the one we want to do first, before
Yes.
any of the other ones?
Well, this one meets all the criteria. You have to
Yes.
have a historical center with historical buildings.
Now, my one question is, does that create any issues for Act 250 applicants outside of the village center designation when you get reviewed under criteria 9L?
Not
Is
that
it-
not that I'm aware of.
Because it's all
I don't
about,
think so.
once you have a village center, it's all about clustering development to it as much as possible. I don't wanna
No.
necessarily put anybody at a disadvantage by,
No, it's not clustering development, it's improving the village center, that's the whole idea of it.
well, when you get to the Act 250 side of it, that's when
Yeah.
they talk about, strip development,
Is
infill,
outright.
Again,
you know.
right? Why don't we let
You
that
can-
one go?
yeah.
We will kick it around.
That has gone very well for us every time we've done it so far this year.
when the gentleman was here, he said this area would be very easy
Yeah,
and to get approval.
well, it's our
And
historic.
Al
village center.
asked about exit 19, and he said it's gonna be much more difficult.
Because it
We look at
doesn't
20.
meet all the
Right.
criteria that this does.
Right.
Did we
Right.
look at 20 with all those shovel-ready lots?
It's not, it doesn't have any of the buildings though, or the history. That would be a totally different program.
See, that's the problem that Sam Smith had when he was trying to do it on exit 19. It didn't meet all the criteria.
But by the same token, how we designate the area, the total area of the downtown area, you can meet a lot of the criteria.
Exactly.
So it's not a matter that you look at the whole exit 19, but you want to get in the church, you want to get a community center,
That's why
Town
you have
hall
a
and
map.
so forth,
That's why
right.
you have a designated area.
right?
You choose the area.
But that's a big discussion so far as the town goes.
So if we
Yeah.
hypothetically did a village center, and then we talked about relocating the town hall outside of the village center, could that hurt us if we made a
No,
grant?
still stays the center.
You can,
You
it won't
could,
hurt us in a grant
And
application?
that allows you, that gives you, you meet more of the criteria
Gotcha,
on exit 19 if you were to move up there, move the town office up there.
gotcha.
And village centers aren't forever. I mean, they're reviewed every 5 years.
Gotcha.
I think the big thing, it might help us figure out what to do with this building when we vacate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's not even, we got tax voters to go through. I don't want people to say we're vacating this building.
well, no,
Far as I
but
know, we're-
eventually,
Hey, Al, the thing that I want to bring up, I'll bring it up later though, when other business, something else we'll talk about.
so,
He can be
well,
vacating.
let's, so the planning commission's gonna work on it. That's
So do we
good.
have to make a motion to let them work on it or?
No, they can just do it on consensus.
I just want to make a point that was stated, they're not going to look at it until January, February. So this is not a December issue that we're going to hear about. It'll be in January or
When are you
February.
gonna look at it?
We'll report back to you by the end of February.
There you go.
Wasn't there a date that the information has gotta be in the,
No, that was for
No,
the
it's
road,
rolling.
No date.
that was for V-Trans for the road.
it wasn't for designated downtown?
No,
no,
there's
I
no
think
date.
it's rolling.
But
They
I thought he
review
said he only takes a package, then they look at so many per year.
No,
That's the road.
That's the road, yeah.
No,
You gotta-
no,
Stan,
that
you
was this
gotta-
guy was
Stan,
standing right over here.
Stan, I'm on the board.
You
with
left,
that guy.
Rose, so when the guy continued to talk.
Well, I'm on the board. It does not have any
Okay.
dates. You can submit it anytime.
All right. But they only review it at a certain time. You can submit it
We
whenever
review
you
them
want.
once, we review them when they're complete, we review them once a month. We've done as many as 13 in one visit.
Okay, let's move on.
Right, let's move on to the sidewalk ordinance.
Yeah, that'll be a lot more fun.
Oh, clarification of fees, that wasn't exactly
Yes,
bad.
so that's why Ned is here, he come up, he wrote hopefully some of the thought process behind how they got to that dollar amount in the, could you come up here please though?
Sure.
It's easier for the camera and the microphone. To pick you up.
Ned,
Yes, sir.
clarify the fees for us.
The fee, as I said in my very short memo,
That's good.
basically, we looked at what V-Trans, their pricing over a 5-year period and a 2-year period, saw that it was in the $50 range, give or take a bit. And then we knew we wanted to have a price that was slightly lower than that at a price that would be lower than somebody could ever or likely be able to do it on their own, and we came up with a $35 per linear foot fee.
Yeah.
That was it.
I remember it, yeah. That was the tail end of my run as a planning commission when you built the city.
So that doesn't mean it has to stay at $35.
Oh, no, we could make it more, yeah, we could certainly make it more.
I think
And
you
we
should
can
be
certainly
at
make
least
it less.
looking at what the average is. I don't think we're charging enough.
Well, the cost to actually construct was in the 80s, right? When we did the calculation. I just think by collecting low fees now, the price is only gonna go up by the time we
It's gonna
actually
be harder
get to
to raise
construction.
in a year or two down the road.
Well, and if the ground's all torn up when construction's going in, it's easier to put sidewalk in then. If you wait, the landowner often starts to use that property as their own, and then you're going back and saying, well, really, this is our right of way. We want to put a sidewalk now. I just think we should make the most of the present and the construction going on and make it less desirable for them to pay into the fund.
I totally agree that it'd be less of a hassle to do it while construction's going on.
So we've
Because you
got,
come back a couple of years later, is after people settled in, they probably seeded it, they've grown fond of it, then we've got issues.
the zoning administrator is working on, I don't wanna call it a report, but kind of a list of certain complaints and an assessment on where we are at with the sidewalk ordinance. And there are several, I don't wanna say several actually, a couple of cases that I'm aware
There
of.
are several.
Several, okay, several.
are.
Cases where the sidewalk ordinance and the fees might have had an effect on people that was unforeseen by the board when they adopted that ordinance. So
Unforeseen, meaning, I mean,
people who probably shouldn't be subjected to extremely high impact fees for sidewalks or building
Like a
extremely
one
useless
lot-
sidewalks.
One lot subdivision.
Like a two
Just-
lot
or
subdivision with like 600 feet of road frontage is now 600 times 35, and you can't make that on two houses, and all of a sudden people don't, there's just people coming forward with little projects that are deciding, well, if I gotta pay that, I'm not gonna do
I
it.
guess that's what goes along with what Jessica was saying, the longer we wait, the tougher it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's only in designated areas,
It-
right?
It can't
That the
stay
town
$35
identified
forever.
as places that should have sidewalks.
But there's gonna be suggestions coming for revision, so in that we can
That's what I
include,
was-
Yeah.
suggestions
We
to
should hold
the
tight
cost.
until we get to see the other side of the coin and see what this is doing to, small time builders, and
Yes.
we might have more than one revision to make than just the price. That's all.
And-
But it should come soon. I mean, Becky and I
Yeah,
talked about it
talking
today,
in
and
the next
Ned,
couple of weeks,
we did.
probably by the
Okay.
second, maybe.
Okay,
I,
I'll agree with
Maybe.
that.
You know, it
I
might be a
mean-
meeting or two, but
But the two sidewalks we done, we calculated
Yeah, they were around
$71
yeah.
linear foot,
Right.
so.
And the state's average was at 74, 73. It was right in the same
So there we
ballpark.
are then.
Yeah.
Right,
So we're,
We were also, with our $35,
extremely
we were gonna match we were gonna use it as match for grants, so
Right.
the differential
$35
between the
was
prices
goal.
it was not really a concern.
And then we have, we all have a copy, right, of the plan from the planning commission on the local option tax revenue and the capital plan, the 10-year
the
capital.
capital
plan?
improvement program?
Right,
Yes.
we have that.
It's in the
Yes.
packet you're gonna talk about
So
on
we,
Wednesday.
while we have Ned here, and I'm thinking about it, I just wanna remind everybody, we have a budget meeting Wednesday.
Mhm.
We really need to read that because I think it's probably one of the best planning documents we've come up with in a while. And it throws significant money at sidewalk construction. Like, the majority of the 10 years is well into the six-figure range.
good, it's long overdue.
So they got very, this plan covers everything from plow trucks to fire trucks. And it covers, debt service on a new town hall at $250,000 a year. And it covers sidewalk construction, and then it also has another line ranging from 40 to however many tens of thousands for other rec projects. And it doesn't exhaust, it uses almost all of the LOT revenue as it sits present date, but it doesn't exhaust all of it. But
And
it would be a good move. But I
Planning
hope-
Commission-
All of this stuff comes with additional costs, it's just not the original, the cost of putting in sidewalks. There's a maintenance goes along with it after. It's just like building more town buildings. That's
Well, that-
why I wanted to see the facilities person come on board. You gotta maintain what you invest in.
There's going to be a planning commissioner or two at the meeting to answer questions about
Yeah.
how they came up with this and why, you know,
That'd
the
be
thought,
great.
thought
That'd be
process
great.
behind it. It's helpful.
That's gonna be a long meeting, I'll tell you right now.
Mm-hmm.
And before we commit to anything, we gotta get voters' approval to
Oh.
move that money around.
Oh, definitely, yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, oh, yeah.
And it's gonna be tough. If we'll talk about it.
Sure.
We gotta get a budget done, that's the first thing we gotta get done.
Well, we're about there.
Yeah.
We're not, with all the changes that have gone in to the, using local option tax, you can't get them both done at the same time.
Well, it's already done by the planning commission, and we just have to review their proposal.
I know, but you can't book that for your budget if you don't have voters' approval on local option tax.
So you would want everything that the LOT would theoretically pay for with voter approval
It has to be.
has to be in the budget, and then if we get voter approval, we just don't raise it.
If you don't put it there,
Then you have no way to collect it if that fails.
right,
I
if it
understand what you're
fails,
saying.
then you're done.
You don't wanna tie yourself to the low figure, not including the first.
Absolutely.
In your opinion, Stan,
Absolutely.
in your opinion, what's the answer?
Huh?
What's the answer in your opinion?
We gotta put it in the budget
You
now.
gotta
Yeah.
put the money in the budget.
And
Which
the only
budget, the
thing,
capital budget?
No,
General
the
fund.
General
when
fund
we
budget.
left the budget meeting, the only thing the planning commission was gonna work on was DPW. DPW, because of the $200,000 swings year to year, we were gonna leave the fire department there. When we left, draft 3, that's what it was.
Draft 3 of the budget?
As we left it because we were gonna go and make some minor changes, and what I saw was major changes.
I thought we full stop asked them to develop a capital improvement plan that used the LOT
Right.
as a revenue source.
No. Al said, well, how much are you planning on using? He asked you. And you said, well, not all of it.
With the
He asked you.
LOT.
LOT.
Yeah, and the planning commission looked at that, and they have a plan that has a reserve fund or contingency fund, however you want to call it. They're not spending all the money. They're spending.
They're not spending all the
proportional.
money over the 10 years, Al, but there's some years in there, there's not much left.
Well, if
Well,
we,
let's get the paperwork
I
in
think
front of
I
us
think
and
it's
sit
a
down.
long
And I
meeting
think,
to discuss that.
no, I hear you.
Yeah, but I'm not in favor of it going through the regular operating budget. We have a capital budget, if people approve it over a 10-year period, and we spend it
Well, he's saying
annually.
what happens if the capital budget fails because people don't like the funding source, and then all of a sudden you don't have a
Yeah,
fire
the
truck
source.
in the general fund because they were in the LOT option that just failed, and all of a sudden you have a budget shortfall because one thing passed and the other one didn't. Are you rushing back for a special election? Did it lose so bad that you can't even go back to the voters? And where do you get the money from? And then you're talking emergency reserves and
It's how
it'd be
you,
awful.
it's how you word your,
Contingency
it's
funds,
how
yeah.
you word the use of the money in the LLC.
Well,
You separate out the fire trucks and whatever we have there now, and the motion goes forward to what we propose to spend for X, Y, and Z.
well, I mean, in that proposal, they've got plow trucks that have traditionally been funded through the general fund.
In
Fire
that proposal,
department.
are we thinking about the new town office as well?
Yes,
Mhm.
$250,000 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and just, let's all dive into that, I
Yeah.
think.
all right,
This is the
when
wrong
we get the
meeting.
paperwork
When
in
we
front
get
of
that
us.
in front of us, yeah, but I'm glad.
Bring a
we-
little food, I know
Got
it's
the
gonna be
wheels
a long
spinning.
day.
And the other thing is that we need a price on the new town office.
Well, we
You
have
know, we could
a
put
general.
$200,000 a year away, but
Let's not bring that up tonight because
Yeah.
we gotta talk about that at the
Yeah,
budget meeting.
okay, but it's gotta be talked about.
It's gotta be
Well, yeah.
talked about, you're absolutely right.
and when they
On
program
the
that-
20th of this month.
I'll leave you with this. When they
Yes.
thought, it starts out 0, year 2, 500,000, because usually the first year you take a bond on something, the payments are higher, right? and then it goes back down to 250 a year through the end of the plan, the rest of the 8 years. So they're figuring on, we get a plan together next year, build it as soon as 2021, start making bond payments, pay the thing off ahead of schedule. Money's there, and we can still
It's a
do
plan,
everything
it's a
else.
good plan.
Yeah, so it's there, but then if you have any
Now-
questions before the
Now,
report's
what
all
you
met.
do, there's an old saying, you plan your work and work your plan, that's what we gotta do.
Yeah, I agree. But once that money is all approved by voters and it's restricted, it'll be, let's go. But anyway,
Yeah, you're right. Good plan, I like that, sounds good to
But you're
me.
asking the voters for a lot of money. So just be prepared.
I think the voters are reasonable people if they understand what's going
well,
on.
it takes a lot of general fund expenses and throws it on my lap too,
They're,
which is,
they're reasonable people, but you remember that we couldn't get the new DPW approved until we convinced everybody that we had the money in the bank to pay cash for it, and we weren't gonna raise taxes.
The not raising taxes, I think, is the critical part of that, right?
Yes.
All right, so the next item, I'm gonna move on,
thank you,
effort of time.
our moderator.
Hey, you leaving?
Thank
No, I'm
you.
gonna be here a little while
If
longer.
anybody has any questions while they're reading over that plan from the planning commission, call Meg and ask. Any questions we can get answered ahead of time, it's always helpful.
There's a lot of information to absorb.
Yeah, definitely. Carrie, sorry.
Okay, effort of time, we're gonna be quick, right? This one actually is, we got 3 reports from Mark Fenton. He did a fall visit on a number of different areas in the region. 2 or 3 of his visits for us were right here in town. So Jess was at some of those visits. It's gonna briefly frame up the reports for
Yeah, I'll
us.
try to go through them quickly. The detailed reports are in the packet, and I don't know if there's any way, if the public wants to see them, they can reach out to
Absolutely,
the town
yeah.
and get a copy, but,
Wait, can't we put them online?
Oh, yeah.
Put 'em online.
We can put them on our website.
yeah, and just anybody first hearing about it, Mark Fenton is a national walking expert. He's an engineer. He's one of the, a CDC expert, so he consults and goes out into communities all across the country to look at what you have and give you some ideas of how you can make it more walkable. So I'll start with the Bay report, just right here. And one of his first recommendations for the town as a whole is to adopt a complete streets policy. And that's pretty much saying that every time a roadway is touched, if we're doing construction, maintenance, paving, that we look at it and make sure it's accommodating all users and see if there's any improvements that can be made while we're tearing it up. So it just gives an additional frame for us to look at the road before we do anything to it. I don't believe it's requiring us to do anything, but just forcing us to have a discussion,
Yeah,
which I think is a great idea. And then as we walked around the bay, he talked a lot about that intersection of Lake Street and Georgia Shore Road and how it's really, the way it's designed now, it's not very safe. And it's come up in this meeting before as well. And he talks about putting in some curb extensions like you see in the city where the sidewalk kind of bumps out and brings people closer into the road. So it's a shorter distance to cross. And it also helps the drivers slow down and see people crossing. As well as putting in some high visibility crosswalks in that area. He also talked about the parking in front of Bayside Pavilion, how people are using that area right in front of the building as parking, and it's really unsafe to back out into that area. So using something like planters or paint to designate that people shouldn't be parking there. And then just a lot about pedestrian access. I mean, there's a few phases that we can use, and he always starts by keeping it really inexpensive and by using paint. So painting the shoulders with pedestrian symbols, maybe adding some signage so drivers know that they're in a pedestrian zone, and then eventually creating sidewalks. So he does a lot of this, let's try it. Let's try it with paint. Let's try it with some planters. Let's get feedback from the community, see if it's helping, and then go to construction later on if it is working. So it allows us to have that dialogue with the community. And then he talked about the path at the lake to actually make it wider and add a soft shoulder along the lakefront path just to allow for more people to use it and to be able to get around each other. since it's especially increasing in popularity. A lot of people are out there. Yeah, basically for this area, just making it more pedestrian friendly so that you can walk from the lake to here to the post office and not feel like you're going to get hit by a car. And some of that can just be done with paint for now. So quickly moving on to McQuam Shore. Again, he talks about complete streets. And then he talks a lot about, on McQuam Shore, actually getting some data. So having people go out there, do get speed counts on cars, but also make counts of pedestrians and bicyclists and see who's using that roadway. You know, I think a lot of us see people using it, but to get some real numbers so you can have some accurate volumes of what's going on. And then to survey users and residents. So either stopping people while they're out there using it and talking to them, having a focus group, maybe here at Town Hall, or even having an online survey. So those are really low-cost ways to get some feedback of how that people use that road and what they might want to see there. And the one really neat idea that I liked, he talked about making that road, kind of turning it into a region, so calling it a local farm and bike access route along McQuam Shore, because that's what most people are using it. They're on there because they live there locally. They're out looking at the lake. There's farm vehicles that go there, and people do go there just to bike and walk because it's one of the safer roads in the town. And then you could have signs along the road, and especially where there's intersections, so where other roads are coming into McQuam Shore, putting up some signage, you know, caution bikers and walkers ahead. I think Dave was talking a little bit about it when he was here, but giving 3-4 foot, whatever the requirement is, a space you're supposed to give as a vehicle when you go around a walker and a biker. He talked about dropping the speed limit, saying that it could be a slower road, installing share the road signs, just as reminders to drivers, because you can be driving along on that road, and especially where it's wide open, where the farm fields are, all of a sudden you can look down and be doing 50 and not even realizing it just because of the design. I think naturally you slow down when you head up towards the Swanton area because it just feels more residential. But just reminding people, he has these little 3-way yield signs. So cars yield to bikers and bikers yield to walkers. And then he also talked, you could do some redesign of the road, of putting in some small medians, or where you have those signs, welcome to McQuam Shore Farm, bicycle and family friendly route. Let's see, he talked about the advisory shoulder, which I won't go into too much detail, but because that's what we tried to do on that governor's bike ride. We put in the dash lines. Well, Alan really did, and was a huge help on that. And we were able to get some feedback from people. And then, the biggest step would be a substantial redesign of McQuam Shore with an actual side path. But that's like, pie in the sky. There's a lot of other things we can do as an in-between that aren't quite as costly. And then the last report was on Route 7.
Route 7 North.
Yeah,
right?
Route 7 North. And we mostly walked the area from Walmart past Hannaford down to Dunkin' Donuts. And, there are some sections of sidewalk up there. And, he's saying that we can work on connecting that over time. But even in the meantime, we can think about doing some temporary treatments, using some paint, maybe using just some asphalt to help people to delineate where people can walk on that shoulder. So he's calling that just simple striping of areas, and then work to connect the existing sidewalks and adding in some higher visibility curb extensions. He talks about the Highgate Shopping Center. It's really designed for vehicles. If you ever try walking in and out of there, it feels pretty unsafe. So he showed some areas that we might be able to put a crosswalk in, or a pedestrian area, and maybe even connecting the back of that plaza to People's Trust, and then eventually to the rail trail. You can access the back of that area through the rail trail, so that could be a possible corridor for people to walk and bike safely to that area. And then there's always like some redesign of the road. If you're actually standing there, parts of that highway are 5 lanes across. Do we actually need 5 lanes for that area? Could we get rid of a lane and maybe reconfigure a little bit?
South Burlington did that on Williston Road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did. But I think some of those lanes were permit required, so. Walmart went in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here, so Paradrive, using Paradrive and the rail trail to connect to the plaza.
That I think is a real,
Mhm.
something
Simple.
we can do now.
They
Yeah,
just put a sidewalk up there. It's great.
yeah. And then using that whole, the rail trail, you're turning that into a more appealing trailhead. If you are gonna use the rail trail and you don't know exactly where it is, it's hard to find. It's hard to get in and out of because it feels like you're turning onto the path. Like
It
you
does.
shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So redesigning how cars get in and out of there and making that entranceway just more visible and more like a park entry than something that you're not sure what it is. And then there's a bunch of visuals in here as well. So that was a really short overview, but I encourage everybody to look these over who might be interested and to certainly reach out to me if you have any questions.
I started glancing through it, but it became very interesting. It's like getting it, picking up a book and say, geez, I think I'll read a couple of pages and find out that it's a good book and you keep reading. I read the whole thing. There's a lot of good ideas in here. A lot of good ones.
And things that aren't necessarily all pie in the sky.
Yeah.
Some of it's very doable. And one that we didn't get a report on, we did walk the Sash area too. I'm not sure if we're getting a report on that one because it was just, maybe we were out there a half hour or an hour. And one of his suggestions for that road was actually for the town to take that over and turn it into more of a parkway, have some green spaces along the sides, some trees, drop the speed limit, put in some crosswalks, make it more of a residential park-like feeling than something that you're just supposed to get through as quick as you can as a shortcut. So that's one idea that could help a lot of the issues that we're having up there.
Like I said earlier, there's some things in here that he suggests that we can do, that we could actually do now, rather than waiting and not talk it to death, And I think what I'd like to see is us to take a look at this list in general and pick some items out that we'd like to pursue and do them.
Okay.
Just do them.
We could try to come up with a short list of low-cost options
Right.
that he's listed, and the chair can pick a couple every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. That
Is
sounds fair.
McCombs or a
And
state
there's-
road or a
there's-
local?
There's the deal where,
It's ours.
But the Swanton study they're in.
they have what they call pop-up stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like here.
Yeah.
There's other towns that form committees, and they do stuff themselves without having to go out and hire engineers and stuff like that. So,
Oh, we could do that.
it would be nice to see if we could form a committee of local people
Yeah, the parks.
and see what residents, see what they would like to see as changes. And do some of this pop-up stuff, see how it works, working with the police department, safety, of course. And do some of this stuff. It's not permanent, it's just stuff that you might set up for a weekend and monitor it, see how it works, or a Friday afternoon or whatever. We can move forward without spending money.
We do have a committee that I help chair through Bryce and through the hospital. And we have people from the city and the town. We meet monthly, and they're the ones who were behind doing that pop-up on McQuam
Yeah.
Shore.
Yeah.
And we're actually meeting this week, and they're eager to do these type of projects.
Yeah.
So if there's something we want to try out, that's
why
the
don't we
group to
meet
go
them
to.
and-
There was one town that actually closed their Main Street down and did pop-up, like a farmer's market. And it was so successful that they do it annually now.
So,
There's a lot of things you can do without having.
why don't we read through these
Yeah.
reports and see if we can develop a short list of ideas we'd like to try, and then we could see if there's one idea that seems to fall on everybody's list. And then if that comes up, we could ask Jessica's committee to look at doing a pop-up for it.
Yeah,
Does that
let's
sound fair?
but when is the Swanton report supposed to be finished by the state?
But they just got the grant.
Yeah, they just got the grant. I'm not sure. I can find out though where they are with it. I
Just-
think they hired the consultant already, so.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're consistent with what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Well, and the reports from Mark actually kind of, they say that we should work together, so
Yeah.
there's some consistency there. I do have one more thing, but I didn't know if you wanted me to address it here or under other business. It was a short request from a utility for for working in the right of way.
Yep.
Do you want it
Need to
now or
sign off.
under other?
Do it now, it's fine.
Okay. So we got a request from Vermont Electric Co-op to do some work. Remind me, Alan, where it
It's on
was.
Bluff Lane,
That's right.
Greg Costa's property. I met with him last year. It's just a request to work in our right of way. I've seen the type of work they wanna do. I've attached our utility permit to that application that they'll have to fill out for us.
Make copies.
Okay,
And there's an original in that blue folder that you all have to sign off on, please.
And that's it. It's a one-page request to sign a
What?
right-of-way permit.
okay, so you just want a motion to approve. Okay, is there a motion on here?
I don't think they put one, but
Right.
just,
So somebody could make a motion to the effect of approving this.
So I'll move that we approve the request from Vermont Electric Co-op to do work on Bluff Lane
and
in
sign.
our right of way, and sign, board sign it.
I second it.
Okay, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. All set?
Wait, but I didn't answer yet. Bluff Lane, are they gonna hang, what are they gonna hang? Just,
Not hanging anything, it's all underground.
okay, good, that's all I need. 'Cause there's a lot of people have a good view there, and if they're gonna hang transformers or something, it shouldn't be right in their living room view. So, if they're all underground, fine.
Yeah, there's a electrical transfer station at the end of where the town plows.
Yep.
And they wanted to extend from there with conduit and
On
go further.
George Costas's property,
Yeah,
yes,
they wanna
okay,
go further.
good.
Subdividing,
Got it.
I'm good, I'm yes.
Okay, so we have a 4-0. Everything's good. All right, so, all good, town manager?
Yes, that's it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What about
Did I forget one?
the Donovan's request on,
Oh,
I didn't think that requested, I do have that under other business
Oh,
too. It
okay.
didn't request a
Excuse me.
motion, it requests action if you want to opt out.
no, I know, but are we gonna discuss it at all?
I would, yeah, give me
Okay.
just a second. So let's move on to schedule. We have regular meetings Monday, December 2nd and Monday, December 16th. And town offices are closed Thursday, November 28th and Friday, November 29th for Thanksgiving, because that is soon, that's next week, that's
Mhm.
crazy. We have we have a budget meeting this Wednesday, November 20th at 5:30 PM here. We've got all of our material for review. Anybody have any questions about schedule? And then, okay, so we do have to find a time for the board to get together and talk about that thing we have to talk about together, so that'll come up in the next couple of days.
The budget meeting, I do have to leave at 7:30.
That's your,
Is it gonna be,
I would hope.
I know you said it'll be a long one. It's 2 hours and a,
Why shouldn't we take a few minutes at the beginning of that meeting and talk about
So
that?
if we wanna do that, you wanna come in at like, do you wanna come in at 5:30 on the 2nd,
I would.
That
Get it
works.
over
Second to
with.
what?
December?
Before your next regular meeting.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
So you'll send a note.
I can do that.
Okay, so we'll do that.
Before we leave the schedule, Jim Contos is gonna be here.
Yeah,
oh, right.
We are to
Transfers
sit till,
Thursday night,
Thursday night,
6 to 8.
6 to 8, Secretary of State Jim Condos will be here.
I was here, he came last year too,
Yes,
right?
he did.
I came to that meeting, that was pretty interesting.
People should attend. So anything else? Good catch, by the way. We have correspondence from the Attorney General regarding a large lawsuit. And he's basically asking if we'd like to join as a negotiation class member in the lawsuit that they have going against several different opioid manufacturers. I'm gonna start out by just saying, I think that in order to sue somebody, you should be able to prove harm. And usually harm in the world of court battles ends up being money. And we're spending $115,000 a year on a street crimes unit, and a lot of it's opioids. So maybe we should, if it's not gonna cost us anything, and if we get anything in a settlement.
I'm not opposed to it at all. I think we should join it.
I agree.
Yeah.
So do we,
We don't have to do anything. I just wanted to make sure that we just discussed it with the public and that this is a major crisis, not in the United States, but also in St. Albans, city and town. Part of it is less the money issue, is to go after the pharmaceutical industry.
well, that's it. I mean, we're one more town that they can count in the
Right.
soup. I mean, the number goes one more.
Right.
And that's what it's all about. So, I don't know. I think for the record, it wouldn't hurt to have a motion to ask the staff to have the town seek negotiation class status.
So for the record, you're already in there as
We're
it
already
states. It says Vermont cities and towns are automatically enrolled in this
So we're a
class.
member of the league, and
So just the motion should reflect that you confirm that, I hate negatives that mean you opt in, but that's how this letter is stated. So just for clarification, you
So you-
confirm your support of this lawsuit, basically. I hate double negatives.
so whoever could wordsmith something, please do.
So basically, it's a motion to write the Attorney General in support of
So
this
why don't we, okay,
thing. Yeah, we can work it out.
so we want,
And if you were going to opt out, you'd have to do it by the 22nd of November. And so obviously you're not gonna do that.
so do we want the board to authorize
You to sign a letter that we'll eventually write.
Yes,
a letter in
that.
support of this lawsuit?
Yes. Yep.
Written in the spirit of joining is okay.
And I did check, we have an ID number on the massive list that
So
is
is
out
that
there.
your motion?
Well, I can't make one.
Oh,
Yes, that was my motion.
okay, I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
No, nothing.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I knew we said we were out of the lawsuit business, but I like this one a lot more.
Well, this is one I hope we could win.
Yeah. Yep.
Thing, it actually goes way beyond the pharma
Yeah.
people. So many
Go
different
where they have
people.
to go to get rid of the problem.
Yeah.
Now we're on other business. Does anybody have any other business?
I do not.
I
Okay.
was gonna bring something up, I forgot what it was now.
Well, if you let me know, we can get on the agenda for next time. If it works. Okay, so hearing no other business, so we take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I know we have some signatures.
A lot,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
please don't miss.
Go slow.